scientists. Welcome back to our next video for science, lesson 10. If you remember from Monday, we talked about how we are investigating a new question now in chapter 3. Our question now is, what makes an object fall? So on Monday, you did an investigation at your house and you dropped some objects and you wrote down what you saw when they fell and what you felt when they fell, okay? So that was our investigation to collect evidence. Today, we're going to read a book to collect some evidence, okay? So we're going to look back at our Handbook of Forces. We've looked at this one more time, and we're going to see what we can find out about falling forces. So the other forces that we've investigated before now follow a pattern. They all act between two objects. We're going to look at the force of gravity today, and we're going to find out whether gravity follows the same pattern. Does gravity act between two objects? Our purpose for reading today is going to be to find out if gravity acts between two objects. So like always, when you're using a nonfiction text, it's a good idea to look first at the table of contents. Now, since we have a purpose for reading, we want to find out if gravity acts between two objects. We're going to look for the gravity section of this book. As you can see in the picture here, it's on page 10. So we're going to turn right to page 10 instead of starting at the beginning of the book. It's going to look like this. So I'm going to click this link here and open up the book. This book will also be available to you on your Canvas assignment page if you want to go back and read this section again after watching the video. There will also be a link for a read aloud of the book. Remember that I found out that the gravity section is on page 10. So I am going to go to that page, looking down in the bottom corner here to see my page numbers. 7, 9, 10. Here we go. Non-touching forces, gravity. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, there we go. Non-touching forces, gravity. Okay, third graders, I'm going to read this out loud, but I want you to be following along with your eyes as I read. Earth pulls or attracts objects. Gravity is the name of that pulling force. Gravity is one kind of non-touching force. Earth pulls you toward the ground no matter where you are or what you are doing. Even if you are just standing there, Earth is still pulling you toward it. You do not have to be touching Earth for it to attract you. It's always pulling on you no matter what. An object does not need to be touching the ground for Earth to attract it, which is how you know gravity is a non-touching force. When you toss a ball in the air, Earth attracts it, so it falls back down. Gravity is what gives objects their weight. Without gravity, everything that wasn't tied down would float away. So here's a picture, and the caption for the picture says, Earth exerts the force of gravity, pulling you down even when you are not touching the ground. When you jump into the air, you always come back down. The leaves fall from the tree because Earth attracts them. This force acting on the leaves is gravity. So everything in the air falls back down to the ground. And that's because there's a force in the air called gravity. Let's turn the page and keep going. Earth isn't the only object that pulls on things with gravity. Sorry guys, I'm trying to zoom in just a little bit. There we go. Earth isn't the only object that pulls on things with gravity. In fact, gravity is the pulling force between any two objects. Everything attracts everything else. You even attract Earth. But because Earth is so much bigger than you don't actually make it move. The more there is of something, the stronger its force of gravity. Since Earth is the biggest thing around us, its pull is the only gravity we notice. So here's a picture of these kids hanging upside down, and the caption says, "These kids and Earth attract each other. Since Earth is so much bigger, the kids feel Earth pulling them toward the ground. Gravity acts on on their bodies and makes their hair hang toward the ground. Then on the next page, it says, Earth exerts a force on the moon too. This force is also gravity. The moon is very far away, so this means that gravity can be exerted from very far away. Gravity is what keeps the moon from floating away into space. All right, so that's the end of our section on gravity. Remember, our purpose was to find out, I forgot our purpose now, 1 second. Okay, so we are going to use a think, pair, share routine to discuss our observations from using what we learned from the book and thinking about some new ideas. Remember, for the think, pair, share routine, you can use a family member to be your partner, you can use a friend or somebody else that's at your house, you can even use a pet if you need to. But the purpose is to think about your ideas first and then share them out loud with somebody. So first of all, watch what happens when this person drops the book held by a rubber band. So there's a book inside a bag and a rubber band is holding the bag. When the person holds the book, then they drop it. What happens to the book when they drop it? Watch closely. Okay, here's your question. If gravity is stretching this rubber band, is gravity a push or a pull? What object is exerting the force of gravity on the book? So first of all, gravity is stretching the rubber band. So is gravity a push or a pull? And second of all, what object is exerting the force of gravity on the book? All right, pause the video now and think about your answers to those questions and say them out loud to your partner. Is gravity a push or a pull? And what object is exerting the force of gravity onto the book? Okay, so hopefully you talked about gravity being a pull. Gravity is pulling the rubber band down towards the ground. So gravity is a pull. And for the second question, hopefully you answered that the object exerting force of gravity is Earth. Our Earth is always the object that exerts the force of gravity because it's the biggest object around us. So Earth exerts the force of gravity on the book. We are going to write down this information on a data table. So this is going to be your assignment for today. We'll do the first row together. First, I'm going to talk about what we will write in each section, and then I'll show you what it looks like to write it on Kami. So our data table has 4 columns. The first one says Object 1. The second one says Object 2. The third one says Observation. And the fourth one says Push, Pull, or Not Sure. So the example we just looked at together was an example of a book. So we will write book in the Object 1 box. The other object was the Earth, because the Earth is what exerts the gravity. So we will write Earth in Object 2. Our observations are what we noticed when gravity was being exerted on the book. So in that little mini video, what did you notice happened when the book got dropped? We'll write that in the box here. And then in the last box, we will write if we think it's a push, a pull, or not sure. So we know that this is a pull. We will write pull in that box. I'm about to show you what that looks like, and when I'm done, it will be your job to finish the table. So you're going to complete the other rows in the table with other examples of gravity that you have observed. You can use the examples that you observed on Monday, or you can go around your house and look for more examples. Your choice. In Kami, this is the assignment that you will pull up and work on when you're finished watching this video. So we are going to fill in the first row, like we just talked about, for the book that got dropped in that little mini video we watched. So in the first box, we are going to put the book. So I need to have a text box over here in Kami, and I'm going to add it here. And I'm going to type the book. And I can change the size if I want to. There we go. That might be a little big. There we go. All right, now I'm going to add another text box here for the second object. And remember, the second object that the force was working from was the Earth. And now I'm going to write what my observation was. So for this, we always start with I observed that the book fell down and then bounced a couple times. So the person was holding it and it fell down and bounced a couple times. I'm just writing what I saw. And then in the last box, we have to write whether we think that was a push, a pull, or not sure. And remember, we learned that gravity is a pull. I think that was a pull. Okay, so I think these answers will stay on your assignment, so you'll have them there as an example when you open it yourself. You're going to go find 2 objects. Well, you're going to go find 3 objects. You can use the ones you already did on Monday or look for 3 more. And you're going to drop each of them. You're going to write the name of the object you dropped and the other object that was acting on it, and then what you observed happened and whether you think it was a push, a pull, or not sure. Okay, so it's time for you to finish this on your own. Complete the other rows in the table with other examples of gravity that you have observed. From our investigations, our reading, and our discussion, we figured out a new concept today. An object falls because Earth pulls the object toward it with the force of gravity. So every time you see an object fall, it is because the Earth is pulling the object toward it with the force of gravity. That's a pretty big concept to think about. Nice work today, scientists. Get working on your data table now.